Welcome back to a Criminally Basic Podcast. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Megan.
So, this week's episode is a wild ride. Have you ever watched the show Catfish, Megan?
A few times. I haven't followed it religiously, but I've seen a few episodes here and there.
Long as you know what the term means, that's all that matters. Well, this episode involves some of that and so much more. As per usual, I found this on TikTok, but I couldn't find the user that I found this from, so all credit goes to them. If I can find them, I'll tag them in the description. This story takes place in early 2005, so remember that because this is going to be some of the internet terminology is going to be like ancient. So this is not a recent one by any means. So this story begins with Jessie, who is freshly turned 18 and got on an instant messaging site. Well, it's kind of more of a game site called Pogo, where her username she went by was Talhotblond, all one word. Also, funny story, I used to play Pogo in middle school.
Oh, really?
Or elementary school, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, it's just got games. You can chat on like the side. It's nothing like crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of it. I may recognize it if I saw it, but it's not ringing any bells for me.
It's super old. I don't even know if it's still around. But no, it's old. It's like, it's kind of like not Club Penguin, but it's more like oh, what is it? Kind of like the game part in Webkins. Do you remember that?
Yes. Okay, I love Webkins.
I do too. It's like that. That's the best way I can describe it.
Okay, gotcha.
It was super fun. You could play just like a different amount of games and then talk to people. That was it. Minus cute pets. So this is where she met Tommy Montgomery, who is an 18-year-old who went by Marine Sniper, who is in basic training and would later be deployed to Afghanistan. They ended up striking an online relationship, even though Jessie lived in Virginia and Tommy in New York. Tommy was kind of a loner, didn't have many friends. They even said he had a little bit of suicidal tendencies.
Oh, no.
Which was very sad. He actually really leaned on Jessie, and Jessie is this beautiful blonde girl, tall, played sports, was really popular, all that fun stuff. Well, so they would talk on the phone. They would talk about all kinds of stuff. They would even do what we now call as sexting over IM.
Great.
Yeah, great. They would send each other gifts, the broken heart necklaces with their names on it.
Aw, cute.
My favorite. Then she would also send him her panties.
Less cute.
Yeah. Jessie actually called Tommy her sweet, sexy Marine.
How old are these people?
18.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure this was legal before we went any further.
Technically, yes, it's legal. It doesn't make it better.
It doesn't make it right, but legally
yes.
speaking, okay. I just wanted to make sure this wasn't like a 15 or 16-year-old sending things to a guy who's in the military. Okay.
No, we're good. Yeah. She would make videos with like power ballads saying how much she loved him and stuff. She even at one point said she lost her virtual virginity to him, which I don't know what that means.
I don't want to think about what that means.
I don't either, but we're just going to pretend like we don't know and just go on.
All right, good plan.
They were a couple as much as a couple could be online. He had even at one point asked her to marry him.
Oh, wow, and they hadn't even like met in person?
No, they had only talked on a phone a couple of times. That's it.
Oh, man. Young love.
Hey, oh, yeah. That was until Jessie got a letter from Cindy. And you ask, who is Cindy? Well, she is Tommy's wife.
Oh, no.
It gets worse. Tommy was actually Thomas Montgomery, a 47-year-old married man and father of two.
Oh, my gosh.
Thomas was a Marine, but he had never actually saw combat. Cindy had her suspicions, but wasn't confirmed until Cindy opened a package for Tommy, and it was Jessie's panties.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah. Jessie, of course, was hurt, heartbroken, every emotion you could feel during that kind of situation.
Yeah, and I mean, especially being 18, she was so close to this person or who she thought this person was.
Hmm.
And man, having an experience like that just sounds frankly traumatic. That sounds horrible.
Traumatic and terrible. And especially, this is like the early days of the internet.
Hmm.
Catfish was not really a thing or term. It might have been around, but no one knew what to call it.
Yeah, and I feel like especially, we're talking early 2000s here,
Yeah.
internet safety and stuff was just starting to kind of be a thing that people talked about. I
Yeah.
mean, today, Hannah, you and I grew up with the internet for most of our lives, so we
Hmm.
know a lot of, basic internet safety rules.
Yeah.
But
And I mean,
for
they teach it
someone,
to us in school and classes.
exactly. So for someone who's 18 in 2005, you said?
Yes.
So someone who's 18 in 2005 didn't, I mean, she's basically still a child herself, but,
Yeah.
didn't grow up with the internet for the majority of her life. That's that's rough. That's really rough.
Yeah. No, it's terrible. So, I didn't mention this yet, but the picture I sent you was of the actual Tommy. It was
Mm,
just very old.
yeah.
So, here's him and his wife, Cindy.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. They had been married for years. They just something had happened. They just weren't doing the married couple junk anymore, and he just needed some place to. He was using the games as just a way to talk to people,
Mm-hmm.
but it turned into something way more.
Jeez.
Yeah. So with that, Jesse turned to Brian Barrett. Brian was a 22-year-old coworker of Thomas Montgomery. They worked at a factory. Forgot to get the name of the factory, but it was just some factory work. She had knew Brian had worked with him, and she met him on the same side as Thomas, where Brian went by the name Beefcake. Which,
Okay.
these names are great. They're not they're not like Hellhammer and Necro Butcher great, but they're good.
I don't think anything will ever be as good as Hellhammer and Necro Butcher.
Never. We're gonna name our children that, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, she had asked Brian about Thomas, like what he was like, and that's where she ended up telling him what had happened and all the crazy lies he told her. That's how they ended up striking up a friendship and a later relationship. Very similar to Thomas's and hers.
Yeah, in this instance, it sounds almost like they kind of have a common enemy almost. I don't know what this Brian guy's relationship is to.
From the way I understood it, they were coworkers and friendly. I wouldn't say friends,
Okay.
but nothing, yeah.
Okay.
That you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Um, but yeah, I mean, he sees a young woman who is clearly very hurt by this
Yeah.
guy and was able to offer support.
Yeah.
I don't trust him considering they met over the same site, but
But not the point.
yeah.
Unbeknownst to Brian, though, Jesse was still talking to Thomas.
Why?
Jesse was actually kind of using Brian as a pawn. Okay, follow me. The look on Megan's face right now is what the hell is going on?
I'm so confused.
I will explain it. Just go with it.
Okay.
At one point, she got Brian to tell all of his coworkers what had happened between Jesse and Thomas. She even got Brian to go into chat rooms and call Brian a predator and a loser and just all kinds of stuff. Technically, it would be to the point of harassment. I personally believe.
Okay, we have like a victim to villain story going on here. I'm not liking where this is headed.
It's not good, my dude. Not good. At one point, Thomas messages both of them and told them to leave him alone, which I can't blame him, but Thomas would end up, besides saying that, saying some horrible things to Brian and Jesse as well. And like they're really so horrible. I don't feel comfortable repeating them on this podcast. If you would like to know, the documentary Talhotblond, all one word, has the exact IMs and you can read it.
So, like, none of these people are good people.
No,
I mean,
none.
like, yeah, it sucks that what happened to Jessie happened to her. That's not okay. It
Yeah.
shouldn't have happened, but it did. But that's not an excuse for her to then turn around and her and Brian to go and harass
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Like, just turn off your phone, turn off your computer,
Yeah.
whatever.
But dude, I don't think even the phones had internet back then.
Oh, geez. Okay,
It's 2005.
turn off your desktop computer and,
Yeah.
you know, go read a
Mhm.
book. I don't know.
Yes. Well, Brian was getting tired of the games Jesse was playing. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go meet her in person. Well, somehow Thomas found out that he was going to do that. And that also Brian was planning to take Jesse's virginity. And he was irate. But the thing is, Brian didn't end up meeting with Jesse. She actually broke up with him and went back to Thomas, even though Jesse's mother had threatened Thomas to stay away from her.
Yeah, because he's like
Even,
45 years old.
yeah, and married with kids.
Yeah, that too.
But then Jessie went back to Brian, saying she wanted to be friends with him and try to make amends for what she did. But all hell broke loose when Brian was found on Jesse's MySpace page by Thomas. If this tells you how old it is, MySpace was still a thing. Thomas had sent horrible messages to Brian about that, and some horrible messages to Jesse being like he's gonna beat him up or beat Brian up. All this terrible stuff. Thomas had even at one point tried to hit Brian with his car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, on September 15th, 2006, that's when everything really came to a head. Brian had left work and went to the parking lot where his truck was parked in basically the main back. Well, once Brian was in his car, someone approached him from behind and shot him 3 times. Brian's body wasn't discovered until 2 days later because it was the weekend and he didn't have any weekend plans.
Oh, no.
And also, it was discovered his tire had been slit. So basically, he was a sitting duck all around.
Jeez.
Yeah. There was blood everywhere. Though, the focus quickly turned to Thomas. Well, after Brian's murder, and police found out, they're like, oh, we need to find Jessie. Because they were afraid that Thomas was going to kidnap her or hurt her. How many times have we seen something like this happen before?
Yeah, really.
Well, detectives actually tracked her down by her MySpace page, and police in, I'm so sorry, we'll do a correction right now. It was actually in West Virginia, so that is my bad.
Okay.
So around 6 or 6:30 a.m. in the morning, they had police quickly dispatched to her house. Thomas had actually called Jesse and was like, your boyfriend was easy to take care of, and I'm not going to let an 18-year-old outdo me. He even left a note at work before all of the murders and stuff happened, being like, I am now Tommy. I'm an 18-year-old. I have a big dick. I'm going to live this life.
This guy has problems.
Yeah. So they went to go to Jesse's home. Jesse's mother answered and asked, is Jessie here? And she's like, no, she's not. And they're like, is Jess, like, can you get a hold of her? And her mom was like, no, I can't. But what police find out next is definitely not what they were expecting to find out. What they learned was that Jessie was, in fact, Mary Schindler, Jesse's mother.
What? I'm sorry. What?
Jessie, the girl that was typing, the 18-year-old, wasn't actually Jessie. It was her mother.
Okay, so wait. Jessie exists.
Yeah. And she is the girl in the pictures.
But her mom was pretending to be her online.
Yes.
The whole time?
Whole time. Megan is in shock right now.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Who does?
That's that is so gross.
Your mother's using your pictures.
I'm less worried about the I'm worried about the panties.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to get to.
Oh my God.
Your underwear and suggestive pictures to men online and getting in relationships with him.
Pretending to be your 18-year-old daughter.
Yes.
That's disgusting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and those sexually explicit pictures that were sent to them. Jesse didn't even know they were being taken.
How? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to know how.
So
Oh
it would
God.
be like pictures in like tiny bikinis at like pool, and her mom would just take them. And you don't think it's at your like home.
That's disgusting. Ew.
Yeah, they actually when they took her computer to search, there was thousands of pictures of Jesse there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So let's get back to the murders, and then I'll tell you more about what else Miss Mary did.
Okay.
Yeah. So they arrested Thomas a few days later because they were pretty sure it was him. Like, duh.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, they found a peach pit by Brian's truck that had Thomas's DNA on it, and also the gun clip found by Brian's truck also had Thomas's DNA on it. Thomas actually refused to cooperate with police when he was brought in, saying he didn't do it, to the point prosecutors believe he didn't do it, but Tommy did do it.
Okay.
Yeah. When they brought in Thomas's computer, they found thousands of IMs. They never did actually find the murder weapon though, but they were able to go through his family's pictures and find a picture of the gun cabinet and find the gun in the cabinet in the picture.
Mm.
So Ken Case, who was the former prosecutor and was the prosecutor for this, said Thomas had actually told a coworker how and what weapon he would use to commit a murder. It was an M1A1 old military rifle, and the shells at the scene actually matched that rifle. So, like I said before, Mary was sending had thousands of pictures. And also, besides sending it to Thomas and Brian, there were a few other men that she was sending them to.
This is so not where I thought this case was gonna go.
It definitely not. When I first heard it, that's not what I thought would happen either.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me the mom like goes to jail, right?
Though Mary was never legally charged with what happened, her ex-husband, Tim, who is Jesse's father, said she should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when Mary actually told Tim originally what had happened, it was a total lie. She had said Tom had got jealous because they were all in the same chat room and she talked to Brian instead of him. And she said they were talking about totally normal things like the weather and just like normal chit-chatty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, her now ex-husband, didn't know anything was going on until she had to go and testify in front of a grand jury in New York. The only reason she actually found out what had happened was because people were making backhanded comments to her. So she finally decided to Google her mom, and that's how she found out, which is so disgusting.
That is, poor girl. I
Yeah.
feel so bad.
Yeah, and
For,
you can see her in this documentary, and she looks visibly so upset and hurt. It's not even funny.
yeah. I, the fact that you said the mom wasn't charged with anything,
Yeah.
that's
And also,
ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. And also, this was 2005. Like, internet laws weren't really a thing back then.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know what like the statute of limitations would be on I forget what the legal term is for it, but like non-consensual distribution of
Revenge porn.
there's a legal term for it.
Oh.
Of like sharing
Yeah.
like nude images or like sexually explicit images
Mhm.
without the consent of the person in the
Yeah.
photos. Revenge porn is like for getting back at someone, but her mom wasn't trying to get back at her for anything. She was just using her photos without her consent, without even knowing that they were taken in the first place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what the statute of limitations would be on something like that. I doubt that it's still.
Yeah, I doubt. I mean, how many years ago was 2005? Like,
2005 was 16 years ago?
yeah. So, like, I feel like it would be up by now at least.
Probably, yeah.
But Jessie was so upset. She actually went to her dad, blaming him, being like, "Did you know?" And her dad spent hours convincing her that he didn't know because he really did not know.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this whole thing, though, is when prosecutors told Thomas Jesse wasn't in fact Jesse, his face went white as a ghost.
I mean, yeah, dude, you killed someone.
Killed someone over a fake, well, not, she's a real girl, but a fake person on the internet.
Yeah.
They were originally going to go to trial for this case, but Thomas was going to have his wife and children testify that he was with them the whole night. But Cindy, his wife, wasn't about that. She's like, I'm not going to do this. Mm-mm-mm.
No.
No.
You go, girl.
Yes, go Cindy. Thomas would later attempt suicide in prison, and he also lost over like 100 pounds, but the suicide did fail. They also tried to get him out on an insanity plea, but how calculated the murder was, it wasn't even possible.
No.
Thomas would later accept a plea deal where he pleads guilty to manslaughter, and he got 20 years for the crime. The earliest release date he can be released is January 14th, 2024. The next moral hearing is in November 2023. The max sentence he could serve is in November 26, 2026. Jessie has gone on to have no contact with her mother at all. Mary has not apologized for what she did, and here's how she explained what she did. She said she wanted to be a good mommy, and she wanted to talk to him so he wouldn't talk to other teenagers online, and that she was feeling bored and lonely.
None of those are good excuses.
No.
No.
She now lives with her parents because, yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention another disturbing and disgusting thing. Mary took a picture under Jessie's mini skirt one day. Not sure how it happened, but it happened, and sent it to the men asking did they like it.
Again, non-consensual distribution of sexual images.
Not good.
I can't. I am
And-
so shocked that she wasn't charged with anything.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy. But yeah, like I said, Jessie has no contact with her mother, as she should.
Yeah, don't blame her for that one.
Yeah. Mary actually wants to go and write a book about the dangers of the internet.
No, Mary, you are the danger of the internet.
That's what I was about to say. She is the danger of the internet. But Brian's parents want to make a law that for someone who did what Mary did, be held accountable in a court of law.
Yeah.
I couldn't find if something actually did come of that, but I really hope it did.
I really hope so too. And I think especially with the laws that we have in place today pertaining to internet safety and things of that nature, I would hope that something in his name at least was put in place.
But yeah, that was the very tragic murder of Brian Barrett. Thank you all for listening to A Criminally Basic Podcast. If you want to find more, find us at A Criminally Basic Podcast on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can check out our sources as well as photos on our website, www.acriminallybasicpodcast.podbean.com.
Bye.